Hi everyone, this is Bittupan here. Welcome to Mindful Talks, where you will find people from various domains talking about topics like health and wellness, spirituality, self-growth, and various other topics. Today, I am with Dr. Bhuvan Lall, who is an award-winning filmmaker, international entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and an author. He has produced two artistically acclaimed feature films, 35 documentary films, 25 world-class events, including the multi-million dollar Indian Splendor 2007 in Los Angeles, and an international TV series, Chance of a Lifetime. He has held leadership positions as the president of a multi-billion dollar Indian conglomerate in Beverly Hills, California. And as the executive director of the Indian Broadcasting Foundation, he established the largest trade body in the Indian media sector. He was the senior VP of a TV network, member of the board of directors of entertainment companies, and operated a world media consulting firm advising the top names in Hollywood, Europe, and India. A much sought after speaker since the publication of his first book, he is also a popular motivational speaker who offers inspiring talks about leadership and heroism to select audiences, speaking about the heroes of Indian freedom movement from Lala Hardayal to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. He appears as an entertainment industry economist and author on TV and radio networks globally and has lectured at universities worldwide, including UCLA, UCR, and USC. In 2019, Dr. Lall was bestowed with the honorary degree of Doctor of Philosophy by the Jharkhand Rai University, Ranchi. He graduated with a first-class master's degree from Jamia Mass Communication Research Center in 1988. His documentary film won the Desmond Doig Award for the Best Graduation Film, and his science fiction short on nuclear war, Killing a Sunrise on a Full Moon Night, was awarded the highest marks of scriptwriting and direction. Additionally, he attended advanced courses in entertainment studies in UCLA. In my show today, I'm going to talk to him about his books and about spirituality because he has deep knowledge about spirituality. Let's learn a lot from him about history and spirituality. I'm excited to talk to him. Let's get started. Dr. Bhuvan, thank you so much for joining. How are you?
Namaskar, very happy to be here. Thank you, Mr. Barua, for inviting me.
Same here, sir. Thank you so much for joining, and I'm so glad that you have taken out some time. And I have read a lot about your books, and many people have got given so much of reviews about your books. I keep seeing them. So the first thing that I want to know about you is that I understand that you have a lot of interest in history. You have done a lot of research on many freedom fighters. But reading and having interest is one thing. But what made you write books? Why did you decide to write books? And secondly, why on these two people, Lala Hardayal and Subhash Chandra Bose? Why did you decide to write only on these two people? I just want to know from you, sir.
Okay, I'm not a writer by profession.
Okay.
I'm certainly not an author by profession, or I had no opportunity to become an author at any stage of my life except in the last few years. I, like everybody else, have an interest in India. And if you have interest in India, you have his interest in Indian spirituality. Mm-hmm. You have an interest in Indian history because it's one of the most ancient countries. I lived overseas, and I was all the time meeting people who were asking me questions about India. Mm-hmm. So that process brought me closer to read more, to understand more about my own culture and my history. Mm-hmm. And as I went about doing that, I slowly and steadily realized that there were huge gaps in not only my knowledge of where my country was and what it was doing at which point of time, but also in the way history had been taught to me in school and college. Mm. And those gaps in any other civilization would be scandalous because this is a very complex country, and a lot of things happened here in the last many thousands of years.
Right.
So if you start reading the entire breadth of Indian history, you conclude that there are many areas which are mysteries. There are many areas which are also not covered properly. So just to come back to the point that you were making, why did I choose these two people? I specifically started reading the European imperial period in India. Okay. So from the moment Vasco da Gama discovered the coast of India and the route to India from Europe, to the day Goa was vacated by the Portuguese. That was my area of interest. And I tried to read as much as I could and research and visit all the places connected with that period across the world in detail. It took almost 25 years to do that. And then I discovered something else.
Okay.
We have not only fought the much written about and the very well known civil disobedience, sort of non-violent movement that the great Mahatma Gandhi led for our freedom, but we also fought 3 wars. And those 3 wars that we fought, they get some mention, and those 3 wars are kind of eliminated from the textbooks.
Okay.
They certainly don't make an appearance in college and school textbooks. You have to go out of the way. So I can discuss it in detail, but those 3 wars were the 1857 First War of Independence, the Ghadar Party movement, the Second War of Independence, and the Azad Hind Fauj, the third and the final war of Indian independence, which got
Yes.
our freedom. So these 3 wars are very important for any Indian to know about Indian history and also from the world perspective because they were global in nature. Last point. The second independence struggle or the second war of Indian independence had a very unique character. His
Okay.
name was Lala Lal.
Okay.
Nobody knows him.
Yes,
Very
that's true.
interesting man. So I went into the detail of that gentleman and I tried to find out what was motivating him. And of course, the third and the final war, as I said, was Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. We know a lot about him, yet we don't know anything about him. So I wanted to get more and more information about him and fill in the gap. So this was my motivation.
Right. You rightly mentioned that even if people do not know about the complete history of Subhash Chandra Bose, but at least they must have heard his name. Even if I ask
Yes.
some school kids, they must have heard his name. But it is very unlikely that somebody must have heard about Hardayal. So, in short, can you tell the audience what are Lala Hardayal's significant work? Why he's so significant in the Indian history?
So I wrote this book, and the title of the book is The Great Indian Genius. So it's not an easy title because the word genius is abused. It's used for a lot of people. If you can fix the wheel of a car, maybe you're a genius. That sort of nonsense. But here we had a man who was actually a genius. He spoke 17 languages, could teach in any one of them. He was the first Indian to walk into America and teach at an American university. First Indian. History of America has recorded that. He was appointed a lecturer in Stanford. So that is not the real genius. His genius was able to understand the mechanism with which the British Empire ruled India and how to dismantle that mechanism and
Yes.
create an environment in which that mechanism could be dismantled and the rule of Indians over India could come back. That was his genius. And that genius was the creation of the Ghadar Party based on the 1857 revolt.
All right.
So he was banned from India. He was exiled from India. History wrote him off. Our historians never bothered. But every single political process in modern India, the entire spectrum of our political parties, he was the genesis of all those ideas. From the non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, INA to the communist movement, to you name it. Everything, the starting point was Hardaya. That is his genius. He explored every single territory of knowledge on earth. Even after completing a PhD on Buddhism, he went to study science. He didn't want to leave that out.
Nice.
So, we can probably do another lecture just on Hardayal.
Definitely.
It's a very
Yes,
it's
yes. Even
fascinating.
trust me, even I did not know much about him.
We'll leave it at that, right?
Even I did not know much about him. I have definitely heard about him, but after getting to know about your book, I did my own research, and I also came to know about these points like he speaks 17 different languages and all. Right? That's really
in different languages. Speaking and writing is one thing.
Yeah, right. And
And he kept in his mind 3,000 books. He could record, from anywhere. He could quote from anywhere.
hmm, right. And I definitely love reading about history. And what I believe is that it is important to know about the future of us, the future of humankind, and the future of the country. And also, it is important to know about the history, our roots. We should actually know where we came from. Because, see, if you think properly, then every event, every small or big event in the history has an impact on us today, right? Just
Yes.
imagine if for example, if Lala Hardayal was not even, he did not even exist, he was not born, then how would the country be, right? So we have different things to see. So everything we are today is because of history. So it is very important where we came from. We should know our roots. So from me, I want to know from you your opinion, sir. Why is it important for people to know the history of the country and the history of humankind? Why is it important?
It's important for the simple purpose that history has a very strange way of repeating itself.
Very nice.
And there are decisions to be made in lives.
Hmm.
There are decisions in our personal lives, in our professional lives, and also as a nation.
Hmm.
And those decisions can always get, you can have a better approach to those decisions if you have some knowledge of if these decisions were made in history and what was the outcome of those decisions.
Hmm.
So, if you look back, you will see every problem that we tackle, there have been similar issues in the past. And people with probably a different perspective or a greater depth looked at it and took a call. So
Hmm.
that sort of situation requires them, reading of history. Also, as human civilization progresses and technology plays such an important role in our lives today, it's easier to access history. Earlier, maybe
Right.
50 years ago, you could go to a library in a big city and get access. Today,
Hmm.
sitting on a computer, you can access any library anywhere on earth.
Hmm.
You can access so much information. We can do this interview. You know, uh, to just 20 years ago, you would have to come to meet me somewhere and we would have to sit across the table and you would probably end up making notes and then transcribing them. Today, we are
Right.
just recording. So this gives us the facility to get a better grasp of where we are coming from and where we are going.
Hmm.
Our civilization, the Indian civilization, has had a huge role to play in
Right.
and we should be proud of that. And going forward, we have many, many important contributions to make.
Hmm.
We have to make this world calmer, better, quieter, easier, and happier. And that's
Yes.
what makes India unique. This is where we will play a role.
Nice. So since you mentioned about being calmer and a happier India, so this leads me to spirituality, sir. And I have read articles that we have written about mindfulness and spirituality. So I want to discuss about that, about mindfulness. And but before that, for somebody, for viewers who may not even know what does mindfulness mean. So what exactly is mindfulness? Can you talk about that, sir?
Yeah. I'm not the first person learning about mindfulness. Mindfulness has been around for thousands and thousands of years.
Right.
It's been defined by various people in various ways. I consider mindfulness as a moment of awareness,
Hmm.
a knowledge of awareness,
Hmm.
a system in which you can live in the moment, in which you can appreciate every breath that you take.
Hmm.
And in that ideal moment, in ideal sort of state, you become a different kind of a person, and
Hmm.
it helps you grow creatively, it helps you grow as a human being, it has impact on all levels of your sort of emotional responses and responses to even uh, the senses that you have.
Hmm.
It impacts at multiple levels, and
Right.
that awareness is, I think, missing in most people's lives, because we get stuck in very difficult situations in lives in which we have to earn money, find a living, and then one day realize that life is over and we miss something.
Hmm.
If we were into mindfulness, you would have enjoyed every moment of your life. And the faster and the easier, quicker approach to it is that you have to learn about mindfulness and meditation early in life. So as you go forward, you would appreciate it more. It's a lifelong experience. It's something which you will live through your life and you will learn.
So that's actually, I think, very important. We should learn mindfulness in early stages of life, not towards the end of life, because the idea of it is to enjoy your life and experience your life, right? So what's the point once you are done with all your responsibilities of earning money and running a family, then you learn about mindfulness. So what's the point in that, right?
I tend to agree completely with you, because the basic problem is that we try and postpone some things for the rest of our life.
Right.
And none of us have any control over the future. We don't even know whether there's a rest of our lives, you know. So it's best to approach mindfulness from the perspective of stepping out as soon as possible, to in the probably in the early teens, getting an understanding of where this leads and what it's about, and it will help you grow in your first job, in your exams, in your schools. It'll make you a more complete person, and it'll not only help you, it'll help overall society. And it's not religious, it's not anything to do with any form of standard religious practice. It's just like yoga or something else, like walking in the park, or just it's an additional thing. It's inbuilt software in every human being that has not been applied as yet. It's an app. Mindfulness is an app every human being is born with,
Right.
and we have to use that app. Otherwise, what's the point of having that app in our system? We let it go.
That's a very good way of putting actually. It's an app that every human being is born with, right? But somehow we do not know how to use this app.
So many of us live a
Yes.
life, and then end of it, we suddenly realize it's over. So it's best to use the app.
Right. But one more thing, so it's easy to say, but nowadays in the present world, people living in cities have so much of distractions all around. I mean, because of internet, we have so much of distractions, and then there is stress, there is anxiety, and there is negative news everywhere. So how to be mindful in such a situation where one news takes you to the future and the other news takes you to the past, and one news makes you fear? How to be mindful?
Yeah, Mr. Barua, I exactly had the same problem. I was living and working in Hollywood, Los Angeles, and I had to rush to office. I had to go through traffic. The radio would tell me all the murders that happened last night and craziness of the world. And I always used to think this business of meditation and this mindfulness talk is a lot of fluff. Real life is here and now. Get to office in time, get your work done, get back home, go for a movie. This is what it's about. But then I realized when I started practicing and learning more about mindfulness that these are parallel tracks. They can interchange. They can stay together. There is nothing which overtakes each other. It's complementary to everything that we do in life. We do it with mindfulness, and then the experience of even getting to office, the anxiety of getting there on time, kind of just disappeared. All the news that was coming was flowing through my ear and my system, and it did not bother me beyond a point. It did, but it did not create the chaos that it used to. So
Right.
it calms you down. It makes you a happier person in your outlook. It creates a lot of positivity, which is extremely important in the creative sphere and every other sphere as well. So that I think is something we have to go for.
I think it is all. I can put it another way. Let me know if it's correct. Keeping yourself updated is also important. So absorb the news, but do not react to what the news is being said about. Right? It's all about the reaction, how we react to the news. What do you?
Yeah, you no no. I see it a little differently. You have to appreciate the good things in life, and you have to try and solve the problems that you can solve. And there are some problems which you cannot solve. There are some issues which you don't have any control over.
Right.
Those will happen. If there's a volcano on some island and people have died, it's news and it's going to upset you, but you can't do anything about it.
We can't do
But
anything.
there are many things right in front of you on your desk that you can do things about, and you
Hmm.
should do those. So
Nice.
yeah, you have to sort of structure your decision making in that pattern. Whatever is
Hmm.
in my control or our control or what we can do with our time, we should be able to do. What we
Hmm.
can't do, can't control, we don't know what's happening. It's a huge universe, and we have limited time. And
Hmm.
time allotted to us on planet Earth is passing. It's so fast. It's just passing every day. So we have to make the most of that too.
Right. Very nice. So, before I ask my last question, sir, do you have any upcoming book? Are you writing any more
Yes,
book? Okay.
yes. So as I told you, my interest is the Indian freedom movement from the
Hmm.
moment Vasco da Gama found India to the moment the
Hmm.
Portuguese left go.
Hmm.
So my next book is also part of that, and it's the biography of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. I'm
Hmm.
researching it. The COVID situation has kind of impacted my reading and writing a lot because I can't travel and I can't do many things that I wanted to do. So
Okay.
it's got a little delayed, but it's in process, and hopefully that will be my third biography. And another
Nice.
fascinating, and
Yes.
completely detached,
True.
and its contribution to modern India has
Hmm.
not been appreciated as yet. It has
Yes.
to be.
Yes. Nice. Okay, so the last thing, I want you to give a message to the viewers. There are a lot of youth who understand what is spirituality, but somehow they are not able to get started with their journey. They are not able to give time for mindfulness because of their studies or maybe because of the job. So I think once you start in this journey, the things will compound slowly. You will get more interest in it. You will learn more. You will read more. But how to get started? So, what is your suggestion for the youth? How to get started in this?
Uh, there are multiple ways. There are multiple ways you can do a class.
Okay.
That's a quick fix. You just find a mindfulness trainer. You
Hmm.
learn through training, like you learn computers, like you learn playing tennis.
Hmm.
Uh, just find a mindfulness trainer.
Hmm.
Two, use, if you're a little more disciplined than that, and you can self-discipline yourself, then maybe 20 minutes of meditation exercises, meditation at home, meditation at work. Certainly not meditation while driving, but
Yeah.
finding that time slot in your
Uh,
life is useful.
hmm.
And each person has his own way of finding or seeking the right process for themselves. So
True.
I personally think we should encourage that, rather than me sitting here and telling people, oh, let's do mindfulness, it's great. Some people may be completely in a different world. They do not want to have anything to do with this. And there are
Hmm.
people who are intrigued, but not as much as they need to understand this further. So it's various stages in life, but it's, as I said earlier, mindfulness is an app in every human body. It just needs to be used. So if you use it
Yes.
and you like it, you continue using it. Otherwise, there's always a way to discard an app, and there is life beyond that app also. So
Hmm.
it's a personal choice.
Very nice. Very nice way of putting, sir. Okay, then fine, sir. Thank you so much for joining. I think viewers will get a lot
Yes,
of
Balwant.
wisdom, and I would encourage viewers to actually read a lot of history because trust me, I was, as a child, I was never interested in history. But when I started learning about history, it's very interesting actually. There are many interesting people in history. There are a lot of freedom fighters who have done great things. History
Yes.
means when we say that I want to do something great, we use the term I want to create history. So it means when you go back to history, somebody has made something very big, which means it is a history, right? So
What
definitely,
is important, Mr. Barwa,
yeah.
is how will history remember you?
Very nice.
And if you can answer that question, you will make a life for yourself.
Hmm. Very nice. That's a good way of putting. Hmm.
So thank
Okay.
you for giving me this opportunity to speak to your group, and I
Thank
look
you, sir.
forward to having interactions with you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining. Okay. Thank you, sir. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.